Alrighty, everybody, once again, welcome to the third game. We have finally gotten here. Finally, dear God, finally gotten here to this game number 3 between these two teams. We've got spawning in the bottom left-hand corner, playing and going out for Team fLC. We've got the blue Protoss, fLcSka. Ska! You know what that made me think of? Arbuck.
Oh
there's an excellent video on Reddit of Pokemon on acid. You should definitely check that out. But anyway, gonna go ahead and continue here. We've got our two-time victor going and trying to make it 3, possibly moving on to an all-kill, which would be absolutely crazy. We've got the player for Exion. It's gonna be the green Zerg Spawn.
Yeah, Spawn has shown us a couple of amazing games so far. Specifically, his macro has been great. He's been spot on with that, not really accumulating any minerals or gas in either of his games, except on purpose once to make Ultralisks in that first game. And that's really been his winning point over his two opponents. Hasn't actually had too much trouble. I mean, at no point have we really seen him in trouble too much of losing a game. Has had a very commanding lead. And one thing I really want to point out with that is his map control has been fairly good. And game number 2 did open up with those metabolic boost links to go ahead and gain map control. This probe being a little pesky over at the natural expansion right now, actually not letting that drone make the hatchery. Oh, gets this around. Nice job. Gonna go ahead and lay down probably a 16 pool. Pardon me, a 16 hatch, I guess.
Probably something right around there. Wouldn't be surprised to see that out of spawn. The drone is trying to get enough minerals. He's trying desperately to get enough minerals. 250 minerals. He's going in circles. He's going in circles. The drone that wanted to be a hatchery will realize his dream, dropping down that 16 hatch like he did say. I'm going to go ahead and pop down here. We do see a 15 Nexus coming out of Ska after a Forge, which is incredibly weird, especially considering this wall off is actually... Oh. I was about to say this is the MLG map. Gotcha. You can't put a Forge where this supply depot... This is actually silly. This is actually really silly.
Wait, did I miss something here?
No, the MLG version of this map, if you're on your ladder version of the map, you can wall off this choke between the ramp and between the two ramps, essentially. The bottom of one ramp to the top of the other. And it's easier and it takes less buildings and it's much safer to wall that off. So what we're going to see here is we're going to see... no, these Zerglings are going to go ahead and turn around, but if he'd made 6 as opposed to the 4 Zerglings, 2 of them would have been able to get in, and he would have been able to do a little bit of peskiness. But I found it interesting that for some reason MLG has the supply depot there as opposed to the... I guess you still could have... He still could have walled it off that way, but yeah, very interesting to see that particular style of wall off. For spawn, we do see the fast 3 hatches, which is pretty much the staple of PvZ at the moment.
There's not much variation in this early game. Does have a few Zerglings on patrol. I guess that's something you don't see every day, that patrol feature. Yes, folks, there is a patrol feature in Starcraft 2. They didn't just take it out. Just gonna have those Zerglings on patrol between, well, between nothing really, just kind of a couple of points. I guess there's really not much to say about that. 7_score is going down now. Not gonna do some like crazy Kiwi cocky 13-minute warp gate or whatever it was. There was some ridiculous game like that. It had to be an accident, but we're gonna say that it was on purpose because he actually won the game and it was really cool. And
I've seen Kiwi cocky Mothership Rush.
there we go.
Mothership Rush.
There we go.
I mean,
enough said.
Speaking of airplay, will be from Ska. He will be dropping that Stargate. Although I was about to say, I was really interested in the spot. Oh, I understand why it's down there. Believe me. And after I looked at it and realized how stupid I was thinking it should be on the other side. But the way he just walled off weird is what I was trying to say. But anyway, moving on. Those Zerglings were actually patrolling in between nothing. If a probe could definitely have snuck out this bottom left-hand side of the ramp. But as it is, we do see 2 Zealots going to go ahead and march their way across the map. Probably going to be checking for that 3rd base, going to stop by the watchtower and all that, and then head on over and be very happy to see that nothing crazy is going on in Spawn's base.
Now, Spawn is going to be able to see with this Overlord outside the natural expansion the 2 gases already secured at that natural expansion, and it's not super early for those gases, but I mean that's a lot of probes not mining minerals. He's going to know that there's some gas-heavy something going on. You know, we're not going to be seeing some sort of heavy warp gate, 8-gate all-in play with that or anything. So he's going to know there's probably going to be either a robotics or a Stargate on the way. And with this Void Ray popping out and probably killing his Overlord fairly soon, I'd say that he's going to have a pretty good idea of what's going on with Ska right now. And it does have 2 Evo Chambers on the way, so going to be able to get the Spore Crawlers up, not going to be too big of a deal, I don't think.
Yeah, we did have quite a few drones actually going down here to these Zealots at this point. I believe 6 workers, now 7 workers have been killed by these Zealots. Gonna make it an even 8 real quick. No, actually gonna go to 9 workers killed. That was extremely successful. That was really, I want to say, sloppy out of Spawn actually. He just didn't have any units or any defense at all. Had a Queen just sort of throwing those darts, trying desperately to take it down, but it took him so long that he lost 9 drones, and at this point in the game, that's a big deal, especially with a Void Ray popping out and heading right towards your natural expansion, where
yes,
there's only 1 Queen.
However, there's been a lot of creep threat. Oh, actually the 3rd and 2nd base not connected by creep quite yet. However, the main and the natural expansion are connected by creep. So Queen reinforcement not going to be too big of a deal for Spawn. He should be able to get those down in time to go ahead and defend against that. Does have a Spore Crawler coming up as well, but that's not going to be done in time to save this Extractor. However, the Queen does get a few free shots off on that Void Ray. It's going to win that battle, but not before the Extractor dies. But I mean, that's not really that big of a loss. Even gets a little bit of hull damage on that Void Ray. And I don't know, the airplay completely non-committal. And I don't know if I like that or not. A lot of the time, if I see airplay, I want to see the Protoss go airplay, if you know what I mean. I don't want him to see, just a single Void Ray and a couple of Phoenixes, and then just stop completely. I'd like to see him really capitalize on having a large number of Phoenixes for harassment, or maybe a couple extra Void Rays to back up his army.
Well, I mean, he is using this Void Ray. He is using it to slowly break down these rocks here. It kind of got grunt duty here. It's forced to just sort of slowly shoot with the sentries, because it's obviously doing the most damage because the sentries are just tickling the rocks, and that really would take forever to kill the rocks. However, I was gonna say on your note of liking to see lots of units in the air, he is continuing to produce Phoenix, but what we have seen on this map recently is a really aggressive style of like carrier mothership Void Ray. It's actually incredibly insane and actually really difficult to stop. That being said, we're just gonna see these these Phoenix pick away at these Overlords. We do see 3 Queens now gonna start picking away at these Phoenix, but those Phoenix gonna go ahead and pick off. Ooh, 1 Phoenix does go down, but he was able to get about 3 or 4 Overlords there, as well as a Queen more than likely in the main here.
Yeah, I mean, actually doing a lot of damage with these Phoenixes, picking that Queen back up. Oh, not taking it out. There we go. Loses a 2nd Phoenix to that Queen fire, but does manage to take down a Queen. And quite a few Overlords supply block Spawn for a little bit.
Very, very sloppy Phoenix Central, feeling like he was in a much better position than he was able to, Spawn was able to pick off a couple Phoenix. Still, if you do look at the supply, it's the 12-minute mark. Stefano would be maxed at the moment.
That is an interesting way to look at it, oddly enough. Oh, wow, I was going to make a point, but it's gone.
The Overlords forced Spawn to be floating already 2k minerals and 1,000 in gas because of how many Overlords were killed there. So that really does show how effective that harass was by these Phoenix.
Tunneling Claws is coming out for Spawn, however. Does he have that Roach Warren? I'm sure he does somewhere. I mean, otherwise, I guess.
Well, there's 29 roaches on the way. It's right in front of the lair.
That would definitely be a good indication. There you are. There's our Roach Warren. Also getting that missile attacks at level 2 as well as Carapace level 2. So going to go ahead and just go on with some pretty standard play here. Phoenix is still kind of patrolling around the map. Are going to see that 4th base, not the 5th quite yet.
That Overlord is so scared right now.
Don't see me. Don't see me.
How is that not shooting that Overlord?
I don't know. Or is that just out of range?
It must be. I was about to say, that is actually the luckiest Overlord of all time. Looks like he did. Spawn did upgrade Overlord speed, but that's not going to quite do too terribly much to save very many of these Overlords. They're all just going to kind of die here. Yeah. And the Roaches, unfortunately, not going to be able to shoot up. And this Overseer will fall.
I feel like Spawn isn't even trying to counter these Phoenixes. I like the fact that he didn't overreact. I mean, yeah, I was going to say there are only 4, but he has lost so many overlords. I mean, I've counted at the very least, 6 overlords dead.
About 8, I believe.
8, yeah, I mean, there's a good point right there. That's 800 minerals just gone, and Spawn has a lot of resources floating. Does have the Hydralisk Den up now, but I feel like that might be a little bit late, I guess, because now he's switching over, pardon me, Ska is switching over to Colossus, and that's just not gonna, Hydralisk just not gonna be very good versus that.
No, not at all. Finally, like you said, going for those Hydras, and they're just gonna die to those Colossus. I mean, just take a look at the units lost tab. I mean, Spawn's just been playing not nearly up to par. He hasn't been reacting well enough. So if you see, Sky's killed 26 units, 9 workers, where Spawn only killing 5 units in a single probe. He's getting so far behind this game. But of course, as you know, as an RTS player, you're behind. You just got to go ahead and take a risk. Looks like Spawn is going to go ahead and take that risk with a double expand here as a Zerg. He does have a pretty decent standing army. These Phoenix will fall to these Hydralisks as they are not being microed at all. 2 of them will escape, but Spawn looking to be aggressive here. And if you look at this ramp, aggressive isn't going to quite work well.
No,
not at all. Actually, I don't think that's going to work at all. That being said, he is attacking a hive, so he will be going for those Broodlords, I hope. Oh, he's gonna use tunneling claws, and they're just all gonna. Good. What are you doing?
It looked like he was trying to bait those Colossus, but it just did not work. And there's the GG already. Doesn't even want to try to engage that. He knew that he had met his match in that game. And you know what I really would have liked to see in that game out of Spawn?
Not an attack.
A Dark Shrine. You know, they always say, went behind, go Dark Shrine. I would have loved to see him Neuroparasite a probe, build a Nexus, tech up to that Dark Shrine, and get some Dark Templar out on the field.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, he tried to do the Zerg orientation of that. He went for the burrowed roaches, and you saw he went for... I'm actually making a positive point off of that troll. And he had the Overseers with his army and a couple Hydras. He was going to try desperately to focus down any sort of observers or anything like that with the Hydras, so that the roaches could get good surface area. But I mean, at that point, he was actually behind in supply while he was double expanding. I mean, it would have been so much better, so much stronger. I mean, he had a hive tech, he had a spire on the way, I believe. He had fairly decent upgrades and a couple additional bases coming down. I mean, sitting back and playing defensive probably would have done a lot better for him than trying to attack there. I did not agree with that decision at all. I feel like that was the first real bad decision making we've seen from Spawn.
I would agree with you on pretty much that entire point, and I want to bring up a point I was mentioning after the previous game, and the fact that we've seen Spawn kind of commit and commit and commit. And this game, he kind of committed to pushing straight towards that ramp, lost a lot of his Hydralisks, and unburrowed his roaches without killing a single Colossus. And, I mean, right there, I mean, committing in the first place to that, even attacking in the first place, was a bad idea. I mean, I believe he had vision up onto that high ground. He had Overlords and like. He saw what was up there. He saw that there was a complete wall up at the natural, a complete wall up at the third, and he tried anyways. And that, I think, was his real failing point there. Not to mention, I mean, he was just getting destroyed by those Phoenixes. At least 8 Overlords lost. I mean,
at least, as well as 9 workers killed by those Elds in the early game. I mean, just
1,800.
Almost, I would say, outplayed.
Yeah,
honestly, at that point.
1,800 resources lost before an actual engagement. Just it just doesn't work well. You can't play a game like that.
No, I mean, at that point he was really far behind. But like I said, he was taking the chances. If he'd played defensively, if those bases had gotten up, if I couldn't hear that echo, okay, there we go. If he had gotten that high tech up, if he had gotten the Broodlords out, if he had a good engagement, I mean, he could have got himself right back into it. Unfortunately, that's just so many ifs that we cannot even hypothesize what would have ended up happening. For all we know, the Protoss player would have just pushed out and attacked a little bit earlier. So in the end, great game by Ska. Was able to take that game off of Exion. The first game Exion has dropped so far, so I believe that it's 2-1 at the moment.
It is indeed.